to Marshall Sanders and Takuma Roback, piece of Chicago Defender, this past week, and it was in regards to not only the present day work that me and the Black Panther Party Cubs are doing in the Hampton House, but it was kind of like also of the feet going with the energy of a follow up piece that the Guardian had done. And the Guardian, it was a piece the Guardian did, and I'm paraphrasing what the title was. What the Guardians was what the children of people that the U.S. the United States had targeted, and it talked to myself and a number of other members, children of members of the Black Panther Party. And in many cases, when I talk about the Black Panther Party Cubs, the organization, I've been, fortunate to come on here on this broadcast a number of times, some of the work that we're doing. But this in particular talked about, like just even some of the dynamics of being the offspring of, saying Black Panther members of the Black Panther Party, revolutionaries in general. In fact, I had did a last minute call out last night to some of my what I refer to as my siblings in struggle to see if they can call in also. It was therapeutic amongst other things. Just have the conversation, and it warrants some more further discussion and dialogue, because like in many cases you heard me say I don't romanticize revolution, and a lot of times people look at the Black Panther Party just as some sort of disconnected from different and other aspects of it. Kind of similar to like when Winnie Mandela talked about political prisoners. She said something to the fact that when a person is in prison, it's not just a prisoner that's doing time, but how the family, the community, so on and so forth is impacted. Just last past week, I was just on our weekly radio show, and Brother Norman Richmond, who's a historian in his own right, and always connecting the history of music to struggle, called in from Canada. He was talking about, unbeknownst to me, he's talking about even Fela Kuti's in Nigeria, the death of his Fela's mother. And so the discussion went on to other discussion about, talking about Dr. King's mother's assassination, Dr. King's brother's assassination, and the different impacts, how it impacts the family, because when they target an individual, it's not just the individual. And like I say, even when I was a political prisoner, I think back like just even the different struggles that my mother, my family, my counterparts went through, and it's so much that is untold. In regards to the children, offspring, so on and so forth. In fact, I recall when Malcolm Shabazz, the grandson of Malcolm X, before he's released from prison, I remember I was commenting. I said we gotta, reach out, to this brother, and I say also just take into account that not and this goes for so many of it's an offspring of freedom fighters, not trying to force people in the absolute, to take a certain position, but just simply acknowledging how man, devious and the system is, how it targets you for generations, and the attacks that come along with it. And I said, we have to, we embrace and just be cognizant of this, because a lot of times we look at the counterinsurgency, the war, targeting freedom fighters, and like in a one-stage process. But I give the analogy. I forgot under who tenure it was in I think it was South Korea. They would lock individuals up for generations. My fellow Panther Cub Tupac, who was assassinated. Tupac Shakur, targeted. And so this was it was like a release, and just to touch on some discussion, some needed discussion, dialogue. In fact, we're going to be working on doing some panels and some and like a call out to other forces. And there a lot of children and offspring of members of the Black Panther Party and other organizations, who've been locked up and, and even assassinated, but but deprived of that, putting in context, So the Chicago Defender did a good. Marshall Sanders and Takuma did a good follow up on that, and I recommend people check that out. And also the piece that the Guardian had did, and and just even I would like just even like a tour with myself and my siblings in struggle, what I'm saying? It just, just to like really, put stuff in context from.
Well, let me jump in here for a second, Chairman Fred. Was it surprising that, there you are in Chicago, defenders there, all alive, they covered your dad, and it takes the Guardian, a British newspaper, to do a story on you, and then the black newspaper in your hometown says, okay, well, let's take a look at Chairman Fred and what the Hampton House and what Chairman Fred is doing. Did that cross your mind?
Well, I come to, I've come to grips, and not just in regards to media, but just in general. A lot of times, I say, I look at cases, late great Marcus Garvey, a lot of times at the home in Jamaica, and how abroad, he had to make moves abroad to be, to appreciate it, to recognize certain dynamics. And I think they say, like it's a saying in Islam with Prophet Muhammad having to go to Medina, just really to up the ante in Mecca. And what I'm saying. So like even sometimes that's a reality. You know what I'm saying. That just the other entities, abroad, other places acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, sometimes familiarity can breed contempt. You can be right there, close, and somebody say, okay, and so I that's what I've taken. I've taken a position that to seize the time,
Gotcha. Got some friends who want to talk to you as well. It's 17 at the top there. Let's go to Medea. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Sister Grand Rising, welcome to the program. I'm with Chairman Fred. Is Medea there on line 3? And she's not responding. All right, let's go to Dr. Patterson then, on line 1. Grand Rising, Dr. Patterson.
Grand Rising, Brother Carl, Brother Quincy. We appreciate you, and peace and blessings to my brother, Chairman Fred. We were just on the call last night, and, I had a flashback back in 1970 right here in D.C. We were working with, I was a young kid then, about 17, 18 years old, and we were working with the D.C. chapter of the Black Panther Party run by Brother Jim Williams and Brother Malik Edwards, who was one of the artists for the Panther paper. And we were called Cubs at that point. We were working with another revolutionary organization, RAP Incorporated, with Ron Clark, and it was very, very close, him and Jim Williams. And they would get locked up every week, and we'd run out the building and be ready to fight the police and that whole kind of thing. So we were honored to work with the Panther Party in Washington, D.C. back at that time. And fast forward, Sister Medaya, who did not get on, the daughter of Bilal Sunni Ali at Lamani. We have.
Right, and Dr. Patterson, hold that thought right there. We got to step aside for a few moments. I'll let you pose your question for Chairman Fred and give us your report when you get back. Family, you too can join us and speak to Chairman Fred Hampton. Phone number is 800-450-7876. We'll take your calls after the short break.
News 1450 and 95.9 FM 959.
Families in Southern California are returning to the unimaginable ashes where their homes once stood. Over 11,000 homes and businesses in Altadena and Pasadena are gone. WOL is proud to join Brotherhood Crusade to help rebuild these communities. Your donation provides food, shelter, and recovery support. Act now. Visit brotherhoodcrusade.org to donate today. Here at Urban One, we pride ourselves on supporting local and national Black-owned businesses throughout all of our radio markets. Since we began our Buy Black campaign, we like to spotlight some familiar and unfamiliar businesses in our communities. From arts and crafts, restaurants, clothing and apparel, heating, technology, electrical. One thing is true, Black folks have a business for everything you need, want, or could imagine. So let's show some love to all local and national Black-owned businesses, because when you spend money with a Black-owned business, you are helping your community as well as helping yourself. The businesses for this week are the The Continent, D.C. Premier upscale West African restaurant. TheContinentDC.com. DeloFlix, a full-service creative marketing agency. DeloFlix.com. Greenwood and Archer, lending capital to real estate investors. Greenwood and ArcherLending.com. Thank you. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
Shop Kohl's Epic Deals today and save big on spring styles you love. Find epic deals like tees and tanks starting at $6.99, pillows or cozy towels for $2.99, stylish sandals starting at $12.99, and so much more. Plus, you can earn Kohl's Cash too. Spring is in the air, and so are the savings when you shop at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles. Offer valid through April 27th. Exclusions apply. See store at Kohl's.com for details.
Now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
Grand Rising family, thanks for staying with us on this Tuesday morning at 22 minutes after the top of the hour with Chairman Fred Hampton. You know the story from his dad was assassinated by the police and other agents and other law enforcement agencies in Chicago, along with Mark Clark. Well, it's here continuing on the Black Panther Cubs. And before we left, we were speaking with Dr. Gakai Patterson. He's a soldier in Washington, D.C. And Dr. Patterson is also working with the Black Panther Cubs. So, Dr. Patterson, I'll let you finish your thought.
Yeah, I want to quickly defer to the chairman, but, you know, when we talk about the young people today, Chairman, what do you think are some of the major points that we need to be aware of as we approach these young brothers and sisters who are soldiers, but they're on the wrong side of the fence? I defer to you.
Right on. Revolutionary love and respect, my brother. You know, we got this. Am I still on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As I said a number of occasions, we got to be on a political pivot. We got to be on a political pivot. I mean, and you know, but at the same time, struggle not to get engaged in ambulance chasing. But I've often said I'm a revolutionary in reactionary times. Again, revolutionary in reactionary times. One of the things I envy in some cases in regards to the Black Power movement of the '60s, that in particular the late '60s was that the revolutionary period. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with the climate, the music. I mean, everything, like it was terrible, but it was fine. So with these dynamics, I mean, everything from contradictions on what type of narcotics the young people are being hit with. Another get like as a pivot is you can't even. I tell people, I say some organizers still think these youngsters out there smoking marijuana. It's even if they smoking marijuana, the fentanyl dynamic is. I mean, there was initially being hit on with the heroin and other dynamics. Is reported to be now laced in the marijuana. So we got to be on a political pivot, having our ear to the ground. So everything from the various forms of drugs these youngsters are being hit with to even this slop hop, the propaganda bombs, aka the so-called music. You know what I'm saying? Got to be even the good, the bad, and the ugly. Having to get their ear, but also studying them. Putting our ear to the ground, and in regards to organizing, got to be on a political pivot.
What do you say, Chairman, about the fact that our people are scared to approach the young people? How do we address that?
As I said, this with the propaganda, I was just commenting like it's a dynamic in Chicago that's happening now. Everybody talking about this. Oh, they call it the teenage takeover. They referencing the teenage takeover, in which they talk with a lot of these youth will go downtown Chicago, which of course, it becomes a problem now. They say these youngsters will go downtown Chicago. They say take their vehicles down there and they be spinning the cars and they disrupt downtown Chicago. So you see a lot of even them, in particular the white aldermen, the politicians saying we have a problem now. Mind you, whatever the country, when it was going out, whatever happened in the community, our community is not a problem. So we got to put our ear to the ground and say, okay, like that case, for example, I'm studying. I said, wait a minute, look, what to be able to procure the positive out of that? Say, what type of social media dynamics are these youngsters utilizing to be able to organize like that? So you know what I'm saying? So we got to approach it realistically. You know what I'm saying? Nothing all good, nothing all bad, but grab those dynamics and try to win. Like, for example, I'm working on, I'm grabbing some of them youngsters. You know what I'm saying? You got to study them because there are, the sad reality is there are some casualties in this war. There are some casualties. But you know what I'm saying? I like that term that Richard Pryor used, a peopleologist. You know what I'm saying? We got to study them. When I go talk to these youngsters, I don't come with a blanket indictment. You know what I'm saying? I strategically grab certain forces. I get my eye, like with the hip hop arena, which ones I grab. With this teenage takeover, I put my ear to the ground, grabbing some of the youngsters. I in particular had 2 nights ago here at the Hampton House. 2 nights ago at the Hampton House, this young brother, Golden Child, he's affiliated with the Nation of Islam. Him and some more youngsters, they shot a rap video, a video right here at the Hampton House, and the reverb effect from that has been phenomenal. This is just 2 nights ago. The youngsters been catching on, so I'm constantly got my ear to the ground. You know, saying what's phenomenal. You know, who we can win, what points of unity, so on and so forth.
Let me jump in and ask you this, Chairman, though, at 28 after the top there, you said at the Hampton House, those youngsters at the Hampton House, how difficult it's going to be for them to get that project, aired all across the country, not just in Chicago alone, but all across the country. But apparently, some of the music that's being displayed now, it's not that everybody's in agreement with it. And I keep hearing reports that that project that you just talked about with those youngsters, the fact that they came to the Hampton House shows that they're at least aware of what's going on. They're having problems getting that kind of music distributed. Have you hearing the same problem?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And what's bad, I ask your question, yes. And what's bad, what's good about that, similar to in any situation, when we forced up out of it, our people, we got to make it happen. You know, so and a lot of times it's like even people talk about this era right now. I tell people don't romanticize segregation. A lot of times people say, well, segregation, our people stuck together. I said, well, actually, a lot of us was forced together. So it's times like this, you know what I'm saying, when you see that the ruling class media outlets, they don't give them no airplay. You know what I'm saying? Again, these cats, I study them with that social. I mean, they figure out ways they get the word out. I mean, it's hard for me to keep up with them. So that's bad, but it's good when they, you know what I'm saying, when the ruling class outlets don't give them play, they figure out ways. I mean, to get the word out. I mean, in a matter of minutes, they send out a word like last minute, say, okay, we doing this video shoot. Them youngsters was on point. They was here. And, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people be waiting on these conventional means of organizing. Well, we got to do this. We got to get this put in place, so on and so forth. They don't get caught up with those different Robert rules of order. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times they have been forced out or not let in to certain, you know what I'm saying, certain outlets. So because a lot of times when you colonize, people get comfortable being colonized, and you wait on the ruling class to breastfeed you or babysit you to say, okay, we're gonna give you media time. We're gonna say this, and so we're gonna validate you. That goes in within organizing. That goes into the music industry. And if you look at it, in most cases, it comes from the ground up. And then once the system sees it, they say, okay, they study us, and they say, okay, how can we take this? As Malcolm X said. El-Haj Shabazz, well, okay, how can we co-opt that? We wore down. He gave the knowledge about the March on Washington. It came from the ground, the initial March on Washington, it came from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? You know, just that old fashioned, get down on the ground, making it happen.
Yeah, and stay with us, Dr. Patterson. Let's see if at 30 minutes at the top of our family, just checking in. The Chairman Fred Hampton is our guest this morning, along with Dr. Kakai Patterson. Also, Sister Medea. Let's see if she's ready for us on line 3. Grand Rising, Sister Medea.
Grand Rising. How's everyone doing today?
Well on this end, my sister, Grand Rising.
And do you have a question for Chairman Fred?
No, he asked me to join the call
Yes.
as a child of a Panther.
Yes.
All right, let's hear your story.
Please.
I think we lost it. 29 minutes away from the top of the hour. Sister Medea will try to get you back on the phone so
Yes.
you can hear what you have to say. But you know what, Chairman Fred and what Dr. Patterson, what you guys just talked about, it's why it's important that we support our previous guest, Dr. Michael Thompson, because this is what he's doing. He's building that media infrastructure where we don't have to, ask anybody what to play or ask permission or it won't be restricted or certain. That's why, as you mentioned, as we all know, all the stuff that we see our young people involved with today, that's not the totality of what's being produced. That's what they want us to see.
Yes.
This is why it's important that we support Dr. Thompson, because we'll get the ones that our people need to see. I
Yes,
want to get
indeed.
your thoughts on that.
Hold on. You
All right, hold on.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chairman.
No. You went out. I lost you for a second at the end of the question. I didn't hear the end of the question.
Yeah, because I'm saying what what's being built by Dr. Michael Thompson, was on before you, the social media platforms that he's building for the diaspora, the entire African diaspora. That's going to help us because as we know, all the music, the entertainment that our young people are now involved in, that's not all that's being produced. That's what they want us to do. That's the appetite they created for our young people. So when we have our own, we don't have to use that kind of stuff.
No doubt about
I
it.
want to get your reaction to that.
No doubt about it. And the time is right. I mean, for that sort of move in regards to diaspora, in regards to social media, because once the people are very intelligent. They can. I know we get saturated so many times. We are outnumbered. By the ruling class. So with the propaganda bombs that hit us in the music industry, with the social media, so on and so forth. But the people, once that you tap into them, you can relate to them. I just was commenting the other day about this dynamic on social media. Just even seeing some of the images. Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, and how growing, how it's mobilized. I just left from Africa, and I was recognizing that. But people here, I was surprised that people who youngsters how they relating to the images and how they seeking them out. On social media. I said, y'all know about that? What's going on? And if you touch them, quality outweighs quantity. Quality outweighs quantity. Just the discussion of it. Once they get a glimpse of it, it's like a home cooked meal. And they can flood you with all the McDonald's and Burger Kings they want to. That little home cooked meal, once they tap into it, grandmama's cooking, it's on and popping.
That's right, baby. One of the things about that brother in Burkina Faso, they just announced that they have their own electric car. They used their part. They didn't go out and get it from anywhere else.
Man.
And it was all internal.
These
are the kind of great things that are happening, on the continent. So, we got to support that and be independent on our own over here also.
Every day is something. Yes.
800-450-7876. We've got Sister Medea back with us.
Yes.
Sister Medea, your journey being the daughter of a Black Panther.
Peace, everyone.
Peace to you, my sister.
Thank you for having me on for the call, and thank you, Chairman Fred, my cousin, my cousin.
Yes.
For inviting me.
Love you.
And
Yes.
peace to my Uncle Kakai, that's Dr. Patterson, that's here on the line.
Yes. Love you.
As a daughter, as a child of a revolutionary, a scene of revolution, both of my parents were in the Panther Party. My mother and father. My father is well known. My parents are Bilal and Fulani Sunni Ali. And my father is one of the original Black Panthers and founders of the Bronx and notorious Harlem chapter of New York,
Yeah.
along with Baba Sekou Odinga
Long live.
and
Long
Musa
live.
Shakur.
Long live.
So for me, as growing up as a child, some of the things that my cousin Fred talked about earlier, the targeting, the reminders of this government and how they truly sought to annihilate not just our parents, but us, the children.
Yeah.
Going
Yes.
through COINTELPRO, having people follow you as you're going to school. My siblings and I could point out the people that we didn't recognize on a daily basis, the different people. And then they would have people who you could recognize because they would sit somebody or allow somebody to move into your community. But you could tell that they were not a part of your community. And so being aware of those things, our parents taught us to always stay aware, to watch our environment, to always make sure wherever we go, we're together. They taught us just ways to speak to each other that other people would never understand. And so, it wasn't a fearful life. It was we weren't fearful of this government. We were just taught to be careful and to be aware, to be strong, to stand up and never bow down to any of them. And so that's what we did. That's how we live. That's how we live now. Currently my sisters, a couple of my sisters and I, we have a podcast called Seeds of Revolution, Daughters of the Whirlwind, where we actually speak on how we grew up. We interview other Cub cousins, other Cub family members, and we interview elders as well. And our goal is to tell our story. We're coming together in our adult years. We're able to come together and we're able to speak on the things that happened to us as children. And some of us as babies in the womb who were affected, who were born in prison cells, who, were torn from their parents from the moment that they were born. And so,
I'm going to jump in and ask you this question at 23 away from the top there. When you were a child growing up, though, did you understand the dynamics of what your parents were involved with? Because the other parents were probably, I don't know if you grew around with other parents, other children, which didn't have the same background as your parents.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great question, actually. There were times when, let me say, we always understood the dynamics because they taught us that from the beginning. There was never a misunderstanding of who we were. I believe what happens when we became not some little children, but teenage.
Hold on, throw right there. Assistant Nadia, we got to take a short break. When we come back, though, I want to hear your story, your journey, because what it's like, people don't understand it because they are not children of the revolution. Our parents were in the Panthers, so it's a different energy for us growing up. But for you, it's really different. So I want you to share that story with us when we get back. Family, you too can join our conversation. Sister Nadia, Dr. Patterson, and also Chairman Fred Hampton. Reach out to us at 800-450-7876, and we'll take the phone calls next.
$14.50 WOL, where information is power.
You've heard me on the Roland Martin Show and on the Carl Nelson Show. I'm the one that's been answering your COVID-19 and all manner of healthcare questions. The Ask Dr. V Show, it will be coming to you every Friday from 11 a.m. to noon on WOL. So get ready to ask me your most pressing healthcare and wellness questions. Call in or email at info@askdrv.us. That's info@askdrv.us. The Ask Dr. V Show, where you can be informed and empowered about healthcare issues that are important to you.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it.
Free
A
them
friend
all.
recently told me
Everyone,
that securing life
I'm gonna
insurance sooner
tap back
rather than
out.
later
I'm
can
going
help you lock
Instagram
in
for a
lower
minute.
rates for years to come. So I bumped this up
So
on my
I'm
list and
make sure
got
y'all
it done.
subscribe
I
to the
called
channel.
SelectQuote
Subscribe
and
to the
couldn't believe
channel.
how easy and
Chairman
affordable
Fred
life
Jr.,
insurance
Chairman
is.
Fred
I'm
Jr.
40 and got a
I'm gonna
$500,000
tap out
policy
and go to
for
Instagram
$16
for a
a
minute.
month. My husband's also 40, and
Make sure
his
you follow on
$500,000
Instagram too.
policy
Official
was
Chairman
only
Fred
$18 a month.
Hampton
Plus,
Jr.
with
Official Chairman
SelectQuote's
Fred Hampton
same-day coverage, there was
Jr.
no
I'm gonna do
medical
Instagram
exam
for a minute too,
required,
so we
and
can
we
get
were
as many
covered by
orders
the
as we
time we
can.
hung up. Knowing I
Love you,
have
son,
this
love,
checked off
respect
my
y'all.
list
Free
feels
'em all.
amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected
Free
feels
'em all.
even
You as
better.
well.
Call
Right on.
SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's